Please welcome editor of AlwaysAList.com, Jawn Murray is here. Deputy News Director of Us Weekly magazine, Jennifer Peros, is also joining us. And today's show national correspondent Craig Melvin is here. Okay, I want to start with a story making headlines across the country. Indiana is poised to become the first state to institute safe haven baby boxes where moms can anonymously surrender their newborn babies if they feel they cannot take care of the child. The boxes are actually incubators, and they read hot or warm in the winter. They can be cool in the summer, and there are sensors in the boxes that alert authorities that a baby is inside. Jennifer, what is your take on this?
I just want to start off by saying, if this is the mother's choice to do so, obviously the main priority is to make sure that a baby is safe and with a loving family and is with somebody that can support this child for the rest of their life. But
that's the best case scenario.
That's the best case scenario. My initial thought was, this is absolutely crazy. I don't get it. Like, do you just open up a mailbox and drop a baby in and close the door and walk away? I don't get it.
And what happens if, God forbid, there's some sort of malfunction with the box?
I'm torn on the issue because Indiana is a safe haven state.
Every state is.
Yeah, so women can already go to hospitals and fire departments and places like that and leave their child. The boxes are supposed to create an environment so they can do it anonymously. So if they have the shame of having to abandon their child, people can't see. So while I think anything to keep the child safe is a good opportunity, it's definitely better than like the dumpsters and stuff that we see in those Lifetime movies. You know what I'm saying? So I'm torn on it. I don't think it's a good idea, but I think it's better than the dumpsters.
Well,
you know?
Well, anything is better than the dumpsters, yeah. But I come down, maybe because it's the journalist in me, I come down to looking at the numbers, and since 1999, more than 1,400 children have been found illegally abandoned in the U.S., and nearly 2/3 of them have died. So that is the reality, despite all the safe haven laws in every state, that there are a certain number of moms who, for whatever reason, cannot bring themselves to bring the child to a hospital where they have to hand the baby over to somebody. No questions asked unless the child has been abused. Instead, they make that decision to abandon the child. So in that case, I think that it's, as you said,
it could be, yeah,
it's far better than the alternative of death. So,
absolutely.
Okay, I want to switch gears here. Last week, Disney Channel announced they'd be making a movie about 13-year-old Monet Davis. Do you remember this little girl? Yeah. How could you not? First girl to pitch a no-hitter in the Little League World Series. Now she is making headlines after responding to a pretty disgusting tweet from Bloomsburg University student Joey Castleberry. He wrote, "Disney is making a movie about Monet Davis? What a joke. That slut got rocked by Nevada." Now, he has since been kicked off his baseball team by the school. But this is the really interesting part. Monet was on ESPN, and she was asked her opinion, and she said he should be reinstated. Watch this.
If it was me, I know I would want to take that back, and I know anything he would do just to take that one tweet back, and I know how hard he's worked. So, I mean, why not give him a second chance?
Boy, that speaks to her character for sure. Jennifer, what do you think? The school has said for right now they're sticking to their guns. They're not reinstating him, but...
I mean, first off, I mean, power to Monet Davis for being, what, 14 years old and actually, like, looking at the good of this guy. But
14, yeah.
Yeah, but as someone who hires people in corporate America, like, shame on him. I'm not hiring him for a job. Like, even if he graduates from Bloomsburg University or plays baseball ever again, who calls a 13-year-old girl a slut on Twitter? Shame on him.
I agree with you, but what about her position that forgiveness is important and her willingness to forgive?
Absolutely, and that's how, good for her for just, like, showing,
maturity.
Shows his maturity and grace for sure.
Yeah, here's the thing, Meredith. I think this week it's Monet Davis. Last week it was Ashley Judd. The week before that it was Kurt Schilling's daughter. I think he should be suspended because an example needs to be set. And I think it's high time in our society we say to folks who go online, who tweet anonymously, it's free, and they say whatever they want. They say things they would never walk up to you and say on the street because they know there's no consequence.
Which is why Kurt Schilling made it a point when his daughter was bullied to find out who those bullies were and to name names so that they
embarrass them publicly.
Embarrass them, yeah.
I call them thumb thugs.
Thumb thugs.
They're thumb thugs because they sit behind their computers and they bully you with their thumbs, and they would never say this stuff to your face. But Monet Davis gave us a master class in compassion. And adults could take a page from her. Everybody does make mistakes, and we're going to be talking about Monica Lewinsky later, so we don't want to necessarily, but like she's been wearing the scarlet letter of her mistake for many, many years. And so what Monet is saying is, yeah, the guy's an idiot, and yeah, he should have been suspended. And can you imagine the backlash he's getting from the community and on social media now himself? But let's forgive him. We've all learned from this, and we can move on.
But I do, before we move on, this baseball player, Joey, deactivated his Twitter account. He did post the following apology, and I want to read it to you guys. An example that one stupid tweet can ruin someone's life, and I couldn't be more sorry about my actions last night. I please ask you to forgive me and truly understand that I am in no way, shape, or form a sexist, and I am a huge fan of Monet. She was quite an inspiration. Well, he has that last part right. She is quite an inspiration. Okay, you mentioned Monica Lewinsky?
Yes.
She is also in the news again after speaking out about the online harassment that she received in the wake of her affair with President Clinton. She gave a powerful TED Talk last week where she said she was, quote, patient zero, end quote, of internet shaming. She called for a change in how we respond to stories like hers. Watch this.
Public shaming as a blood sport has to stop. And it's time for an intervention on the internet and in our culture. The shift begins with something simple, but it's not easy. We need to return to a long-held value of compassion.
And you know, you made the point, John, that she has worn that scarlet letter for years and years and years. It has haunted her. When we brought up the name, there was laughter in the audience.
Right.
That the name still elicits that kind of comment. Yeah.
I watched her TED Talk, and it was compelling.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's very good.
The fact that she hasn't spoken publicly for 10 years, I think that speaks volumes. I mean, the fact that this woman is still shamed in a Kardashian environment. I mean, come on, that's a family that got famous because one of them did a sex tape.
Right.
I mean, we should be celebrating this girl and putting her on the pedestal.
Jen, what's your take?
I agree. I mean, how long does she have to suffer? I mean, she was, what, 22 years old when she made this mistake, and she can't walk down the street in New York City 20 years later without people pointing their fingers and laughing at her. I mean, you know, Bill Clinton can do these huge galas and raise all this money for his foundation and come out publicly every single day, but nobody references this when they are talking about him nowadays.
Right.
So,
well, he's redeemed himself.
He's redeemed, but Monica Lewinsky...
But it's always the woman, I think. It's always...
Monica Lewinsky, this is a smart woman. She got an internship at the White House. This isn't a dummy off the street. I mean, I think she's paid her dues. We should forgive her, move on from it, and let her see good work.
She fell in love with that man, but he was the guy in power. So to me, it's not the same at all. Well, you have a point, though, Craig.
No, I question the timing to a certain extent, and by that I mean we know that you know there's a very good chance that Hillary Clinton is going to run for president. There was the Vanity Fair article a couple of months ago now, and now the TED Talk. I wonder if we're going to see more and more of this over the next few months because of that.
Too bad. Too bad. She has every right to speak out at this point. So yeah, I mean, you may be right, but all right. We're going to take a quick break, but we're answering the audience's biggest questions when we come back, so stay with us. Empire star Taraji Henson opened up about the racial profiling she says her son Marcel faced at USC.
There is not a black or brown man in this country who has not experienced what her son had experienced on that campus.
We are back with our hot headlines panel, editor of alwaysalist.com, John Murray, deputy news director of Us Weekly magazine, Jennifer Piros, and Today Show national correspondent Craig Melvin are back with us. First up, in the latest issue of Uptime magazine, Empire star Taraji Henson opened up about the racial profiling she says her son Marcel faced at USC after Marcel was allegedly stopped on campus by police for having his hands in his pockets. Taraji decided to send him to Howard University, a historically black college, instead. She told the magazine, I'm quoting now, "I'm not paying $50,000, so I can't sleep at night wondering, is this the night my son is getting racially profiled on campus?" So she pulled the plug. He was going to go to USC. She said, forget about it. It wasn't the first time that she says he had been racially profiled. So John, what do you think, make
I
of
mean, a
this?
first impression is a lasting one. If I'm going to be spending my hard-earned money sending you to a university, and the first day you go there, your profile, that's not where you're going to go. And so I think for Taraji, Howard has, there's a double affinity there. One, it's her alma mater, and then two, it's in her hometown, Washington, D.C., so she has family and friends there. So he can go to D.C., get his go-go music, eat his chicken and mambo sauce, all the things that are very signature to D.C. So I think there's a comfort there. I went to a HBCU. It's a very nurturing environment, and I think she wants her son to have that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame her at all, but is some of it just delaying putting him in the ivory tower, so to speak?
There is not a black or brown man in this country who has not experienced what her son said he experienced on that campus, and that's unfortunate. I think what this shows is that it's regardless of income or social status.
Have you personally?
Oh God, yeah, and I would imagine you as well.
Saks Fifth Avenue, McLean, Virginia, absolutely.
It seems like every few weeks there's a story like this of some sort of revelation. For some, it's a revelation. For a lot of other folks in this country, it's reality.
It's day-to-day living, yeah.
And these are the millennials. I mean, these are supposed to be the rose-colored lens guys, the post-Obama, post-racial era. It shows that even in all of that, we still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go to our audience now for their quick take. Who has the first question? Hi.
Meredith, hi.
Good. What's your name?
Jawn.
Hi, Jawn.
Hey, I have a quick question. I love Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper. And recently, Jennifer Lawrence said her working relationship works best with Bradley Cooper because of no sex. Do you really, really think nothing happened between them?
Actually, working at Us Weekly for years, like sources, even before they started filming Silver Linings Playbook, people are like, are they hooking up? Are they actually, doing it? And no, they're not. We actually have never, ever heard from people that they actually have a romantic relationship. So it's clearly just a friendship. As a girl who's been close friends with guys for many years, I do think you can have a relationship and a friendship where sex isn't involved. I don't think that's the craziest thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. Why would she lie about it anyway?
Two of my best friends in life are females, and it's very platonic. I think people who can't have the male and female relationship without it being sexual, that somebody needs to go into sex rehab or something.
Is it their choice or yours that these relationships
I think
are
it's
platonic?
a mutual.
Yeah.
I mean, because here's the thing. As grown people, we could if we wanted to.
Sure.
Or at least the single one. Otherwise, there'd be a whole other Meredith discussion here. But we choose not to because you respect the relationship.
Okay. All right, we got another question from Elise, I believe.
I was wondering what your take was on Will Ferrell's recent comments that fraternities and sororities should be banned in response to the racist chant that came out of Oklahoma. So what are your thoughts on if we should ban fraternities and sororities?
Here's the thing. I mean, Will Ferrell's like the poster boy for fraternities. You're my boy, bro.
Yeah. Were you in a fraternity?
I was in a fraternity set, yeah. So I don't think you ban the fraternity system. I think that you've got a few racist kids out in Oklahoma who did something awful and have been punished for it. I don't think you throw the baby out with the bathwater. Some of my best friends to this day are fraternity brothers, or guys from the fraternity. And there are a lot of fraternities in this country that do a great deal of philanthropic work.
They've done a lot of good, but there have been a lot of deaths and things along the way as well. We can't disregard that. There have been major lawsuits. I mean, there are campuses that have banned them. And when I was at school, there was one fraternity that I wanted to join at the time. It was suspended like 10 years because of somebody had died in the process. So.
I have a thing about clubs and elitism. When I was a little girl, and this may be one of the reasons I wasn't interested in a sorority or a fraternity, there was a country club near us, and my dad wanted to join because he had kids, and he thought we could learn golf or we could go to the swimming pool. And he's Portuguese, my father, and so we didn't get in. And then they found out he was doing very well, and he was a doctor, and suddenly they sent this letter, Dr. Vieira, we would love you to join. So he sent them back a letter in broken English, like, I no speaky, I from Azor. And he basically, and then, and I kid you not, he said to my brothers, because I was so little, he said, boys, at night I want you to sneak onto that golf course anytime you want, hit balls, and pee in the sand trap. And they did. All right, I've just outed my dad and my brothers. Our thanks to John Murray, Jennifer Peros, and Craig Melvin. We will be right back.